Good morning. Actually, it's a great morning. It's only supposed to get up to the low 70s today. Beautiful spring day. It's gonna be cloudy, but that's fine. That is just fine. Today, considering that I managed to remember yesterday that there are new people to my channel who don't remember all the old things, and there are some people who have been on my channel for a long time who also don't remember the old things. Today, we're going to tackle the myth that you can't trespass my eyes. Or the eyes cannot be trespassed. It depends on which auditor you hear saying it at which time. This is a bit of a myth, and I'll tell you why it's a bit of a myth. The statement originates from English common law. There was a general principle, a maxim of English common law, and I say was, meaning that when we as the US diverged from England and started developing our own jurisprudence, at that time there was a maxim. Whether it's still there or not is a completely different subject. But there was a maxim of English common law that says that the eyes cannot be guilty of a trespass. Of a trespass. Of a trespass. Not guilty of trespass, but of a trespass. And you might think that sounds a little weird, and it should. What was it? McDonald v. US. A Fourth Amendment case. And you will hear this stuff referenced most often in terms of the Fourth Amendment, because that's just the way that the courts tend to use the language of the precedents in that particular field of constitutional law and the verbiage of them. But anyway, McDonald v. US, officers had access to the hallway, legal access to the hallway, and they could hear over a transom, which is like the top part of a door, the top part of the frame of the wall over the door, someone running a booking operation, I believe, if I remember correctly. And so one of the officers stood on a chair and looked over and saw that there was in fact an illegal operation right on the other side of the door. And so they didn't get a search warrant. They busted in, and then the defense moved to suppress all the evidence, and it made its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said something along the lines of, the eyes cannot commit the trespass that the Fourth Amendment guards against, or something along those lines. But it says the trespass. And again, the trespass. The court didn't say the eyes can't commit trespass, which wouldn't have made sense because it wasn't a trespassing case in the first place. It was a Fourth Amendment case. The court said can't commit the trespass that the Fourth Amendment wards against. The trespass. And of course, the Fourth Amendment doesn't talk about trespassing. It talks about searches and seizures. So again, your spidey senses might be tingling. And the reason why is because trespass has two different meanings. It means to enter onto land without right, without permission, without license, without privilege. Or it means an offense, just an offense. And if you don't believe me, why don't you try reciting the Lord's Prayer, or at least the Lord's Prayer version that I learned, where you asked God to forgive your trespasses as you forgive those who trespass against you. And it I don't know that God is that big of that he gives too much shit about who's walking on your land without privilege or license. But if you still don't believe me, then there are other versions of the Lord's Prayer which change out trespass for offense. And of course, the dictionary is a great place to go to figure out what a word means. And the archaic meaning, i.e., from the time that the U.S. split off from England, was that it could also mean just a simple offense, any offense. Now, in Fourth Amendment terms, you're going to ask, well, you said it's misleading. So in Fourth Amendment terms, how could the eyes, in a Fourth Amendment term, commit a trespass, a violation of the Fourth Amendment? And that's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to do. Without trespassing on property, if the government uses a thermal imaging camera to see if you're running a marijuana grow operation, they look at your house, they see if your house is substantially warmer than other people's houses, and using that information, they go get a warrant. I think that was Kylo, another Supreme Court case, where Scalia basically said that yes, it is essentially a form of light that's coming off the house. A camera is picking it up, and yet the government unlawfully searched. You're trespassing. The government was trespassing, i.e., searching into the private areas of the home with their thermal cameras. And it violated the Fourth Amendment. The government wasn't guilty of the crime of trespassing, but they were unlawfully intruding into the privacy of the home. And as far as cameras are concerned, in a non-Fourth Amendment sense, there are a number of laws about people being in places where they are legally, lawfully allowed to be and legally, lawfully allowed to film. But you can't put a camera on the toe of your shoe and film up a woman's skirt or a man's skirt if you're in Scotland. I don't know. Or if you're Lou. Hi, Lou. There's a wonderful picture of Lou Stefano from the Salty Rant in a kilt. And I'm just going to say that he has the breasts for it. So you're welcome, Lou. You know I'm messing with you. You're all right. Don't get twisted. And various peeping Tom laws. It doesn't matter if you're in a place where you're lawfully allowed to be and filming from a place where you're lawfully allowed to film. Essentially, the way it basically works is if the person you're filming is in a place where they can reasonably expect privacy and you use some means of like a camera or something, at least in California, other states label it differently. But if you use a camera to film someone in a place where they have a reasonable expectation of privacy, it doesn't matter if you have a right to film there or not, then you are guilty of a crime if you get indecent pictures of them. Naughty, naughty. Now, I realize that I have given Mr. Nugent adequate and ample opportunity to poop. I just want to clarify a few things, because it seems like if I don't mention certain retards for long enough, those retards start telling stories about having sued me and won or settled or something. So I just want to say that Methy Mouse is a registered sex offender. He raped a child between the ages of 13 and 16. He was convicted of it. You could look up his sex offender registry. I think on the Illinois one, it lists it. And his real name is Rex Allen Fredrickson. Damon Ray Jones, he was featured in a USA Today article about police misconduct and about police who've been decertified. USA Today, if you Google USA Today misconduct, you'll get the article. It has a little link that says you can search here. If you search Damon R. Jones in Texas, you will see that he was decertified in 1987, which is something that the T-Cole report didn't show. It just showed that he was an officer for about a year in Texas, and he mysteriously left to go pursue law enforcement elsewhere, or whatever other claim he's making. So yeah, the man who claims to have been a U.S. Marshal in Texas, or something attached to the U.S. Marshals, or something, some retarded bullshit lie. And the man who claims to have been a Texas Ranger was an officer in Texas for about a year, I think a little less than a year, or somewhere thereabouts. I don't remember exactly. And then he was decertified. Damon R. Jones is a failed cop. He is a terrible human being, a liar, and a con man. Sue me, Damon. Get those fat fingers typing out that complaint. You spent $2.99 on your little I can sue packet. Do it. Bring it, fat boy. Who else? Ben Narvaez doesn't threaten, but he is a convicted domestic abuser. Earl, of course, is a convicted rapist, and he raped a woman with a firearm, and there is good reason to believe that there were more victims. Sue me, Earl. And he is currently being charged with the rape, the continual sexual molestation of one or more of his daughters. Who else threatens to sue me? I don't know. I'm sure there's others. Anyway, to the best of my knowledge, there are no suits filed against me at this time. I don't give two shits if one of these lying retards does file a lawsuit against me. I will happily play ball with them. To the best of my knowledge, there are no investigations ongoing about me. I have not been contacted by the state bar or by any law enforcement agencies. I just want to make sure that gets out there, just to forestall any claims by these retards that they're somehow winning against me. No. I'm going to keep fighting you con men and losers, you creeps, you predators, you users. I'm going to keep fighting you. Anyway, I hope everybody else has a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.